broke the window out and drugged the kid out of the car and arrested him for resisting and obstructing. Now, at the end of the day, I dismissed that case because I didn't think the officer had probable cause to do what it was that he did, not on a traffic violation. But you can see where instances like this can go and how they can turn out very bad for the police officer as well as the citizen.
And you've got situations like in New York when the mayor of New York made the same type of statement that you made about what he tells his son. His son is an African-American or biracial child, about his interactions with the police, rather than having those New York police officers who understand and sympathize with him as a father of a black male saying that they do so. They stood silently while other police officers turned their back on that mayor at a number of public events, including the funeral of the two police officers who were shot in New York City.
That's unfortunate.
It's terribly unfortunate. And so what we need to do, we need to make sure that right is right and wrong is wrong. And whether you're a police officer or not, if you perceive that someone is being mistreated, you need to speak up. When you're looking at the video of the incident that happened last week, there were a number of police officers present, but yet these two police officers, one in particular, felt free enough to be able to go and treat this suspected carjacker in the manner that they did without any fear that their partners or other police officers would say anything. And that seems to signal that there is a whole change in the culture that needs to take place, where police officers need to know if they are disrespecting the civil rights of a citizen that they may be told on.
Well, I understand this. I understand that police officers, and again, I'm not speaking as to any particular case, but police officers are people too, and they are a reflection of the community that they serve as well. You have good and you have bad, just like you have good judges and you have bad judges. You have people all across the spectrum that make good decisions and make bad decisions. But like I said from the onset, when you have a situation where the only thing you see is the bad, it makes it look like the whole group is bad. And so now you have people who, and I can really appreciate this as a former assistant prosecuting attorney and trying to select a jury. And if I ever got a black defendant that was on trial and I'm trying to pick a jury and I had a panel that had young black females or young black males on it, and I had police officer witnesses, those were not the jurors for that case because they already had bad or negative experiences with the police themselves, or someone that they know and love has had a bad experience with the police, and they just don't trust them.
Right. So this is a problem. If we want to make sure that those people who are guilty go to jail and those people who are innocent don't, this is a problem that we all need to try to tackle. We need to get in there and start working to try to dispel some of these stereotypes and to try to, when officers do well, we need to say, we need to showcase when an officer has done something that we would want the officer to have done. We need to praise that officer.
We have some fantastic officers, particularly now we'll talk specifically about the city of Detroit. We have some fantastic police officers in the city of Detroit who do very good work, who go out of their way and serve in their community, who put their lives on the line every single day. And so it's really, really unfortunate to see that the actions of a very small few can disparage all the good work that they do.
That's right. But we're going to talk about, though, some of the solutions. I don't like to just talk about problems. I like to talk about some of those solutions, some of the things that we can do to try to help stem what seems to be this tide of police officers disrespecting African-American males. And we do have some responsibility. We have to tell our African-American males how to conduct themselves, how to respect authority, what to do and what not to do when they're out traveling through the streets of Detroit and the surrounding communities. And so when we come back, I want to hear your thoughts on some of the things that you say as a mentor and as a father to your son and to the young men that you mentor. They can try to help these young men so that they don't find themselves, being victimized by police officers or others, or don't find themselves as a defendant in front of you in a particular court. Okay, so when we come back, we're going to have that discussion. Stay with us, Detroit. We'll be back in 1 minute.
Did you pick the wrong? Do you remember the last time froze and the world changed? when voting was just a dream. The sacrifice of those who would never be household names. The victory came from the bravery of people who marched to the ends of their courage, anticipating dying for you. And if they didn't win, they would die trying for you. Lying face first on concrete, crying for you. They were angels on earth, bearing invisible wings, symbolically flying for you. Now we don't have to stand beneath Mississippi suns and behind Birmingham bars to be civil rights stars. You too can march across parking lots to voting booths. Exercise your truth. Revive what it means to dream and hope. Remember those that fought and honor them. Keep time you and your family empower yourself to hope.
Thanks for staying with us here on Innerview. Again, I'm Crystal Crittendon in for Reg Wayne. Reggie will be back next week. Judge King, we were talking earlier about trying to talk about some solutions to help curb some of this bad activity that we're seeing between the public and the police. And before we start talking about solutions, when people ask me what do I think the problem is, why relations are so bad between the police and the public, I say they're not as bad here in Detroit as they are in places like Ferguson. But it's probably because we've had 20 years of Coleman Young as mayor in this city, and that did a lot to help foster good relationships between the public and the police. But also, before the year 2000, cities could require police officers to live in the cities that they patrolled. And since then, since the anti-residency statute was adopted by the Michigan legislature, we're not allowed to do that. Have you seen a change or any difference between the relationships between the people and police officers since that anti-residency statute was adopted?
Oh, absolutely. I think that piece of legislation single-handedly destroyed Detroit for a number of reasons. One, you don't have police officers living in their community anymore. And so you're not my neighbor. You're not owning your home, paying taxes on that home. You're not a role model to other young people who used to see you in the community. And
the only time I see you now is when something bad has happened.
That's right.
And you come into my neighborhood and I'm either been a victim or you're not suspected victim.
You're not vested in the community anymore. And that's problematic. So we've lost a tax base as a result thereof. We've lost the upkeep of the homes. You've lost the mentoring that used to go on. Police officers, the PAL League, they would coach kids in football and baseball and so forth. And now, with this flight of our police officers, or not requiring that they stay within the city anymore, they're living in the suburbs now, and you don't see them.
Not only that, the neighborhoods have become a little bit less unsafe as well. I would suspect
unstable.
I would suspect if someone knows that a police officer lives on a particular block, that might be a block that a burglar would choose not to burglarize.
That's right.
Police officers, we know that they take action off duty. So if they're shopping in their neighborhoods, going to fill up the gas tank or get some gas to mow the lawn at the neighborhood gas station, and something happens there, a police officer who's off duty could take action. But now, since we've pushed them out of the city of Detroit, we have helped to destabilize these neighborhoods.
All those things. You have people who can no longer afford to stay in the homes that they were in, and those homes are now abandoned and burned out and have become eyesores and dangers to kids that are walking to and from schools.
So that one single piece of legislation has done a lot to contribute to the problem.
Absolutely.
But the relationship between Detroiters and the police officers is still not as bad as it is in places like Ferguson. Would you agree with that? Or?
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that, because I think in Ferguson you have a situation where your police force does not reflect the makeup of the community. And anytime you have that kind of situation, when something does go wrong, it looks like it's white on black.
Right.
And that does not foster a good relationship between the police force and the community.
So how do we get past this, though? How do we help our young men as they are trying to maneuver their way through the streets of Detroit and into manhood? What do we tell them? How is it that we can stop them from doing things that cause them to be perceived as more of a threat if they do come in contact with law enforcement?
Boy, is that a loaded question. It's a loaded question for a number of reasons, because there's no clear-cut answer to it, because there's a lot of things that contribute to the way things are now. One, I think our police can probably do a better job of interacting with our community. There used to be a point in time when our police officers were in our high schools. We knew who the police officers were. They knew who we were. And to some extent,
by name.
Yes. And to some extent, that still does exist in certain places, but not enough of it. The police have to do a better job in bridging that gap with the community that they serve. On the other hand, the community, parents, us, we have to do a better job in keeping an eye on our children. Right. Whenever you see 4 black males riding in the car and they're dressed a certain way, they're looking a certain way, they're going to be perceived a certain way too. They're going to be perceived as they're doing something wrong.
Not only that, they're going to outnumber the police officers if the police officers pull them over. Because most police cars are 2-man vehicles. They have 2 people in them. Now you've got 4 gentlemen in the car. You've already created a disparity with respect to numbers. And so police officers, many perceive that as to be something that should cause them to elevate their
stress. Absolutely, because now they have to watch, they have to watch 4 people, right, and see what they're doing. And if you're in the car and you're doing a lot of moving around, then red flags go up. Right. And, the hands go on the guns, you're talking to them more direct, put your hands up, get out of the car, all these kinds of things. You could just be coming back from playing basketball, with a few of the fellas. Often, though, our kids aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're drinking or they're smoking marijuana. They're doing all these kinds of things because there's no one at home that is playing an active role in what they're supposed to be doing either. Far too often I'm seeing, and I'm talking from a personal point of view, and when I talk to defendants and their parents or whoever's taking care of them about bond and that type of thing, but I'm seeing a lot of our young women trying to raise young men. It was not designed to be that way. It takes 2 to make a child. It also takes 2 to raise them. And us as men are fulfilling our responsibility to our own people and staying there to help raise that child. It does not make us men to make a child and then disappear, or how many different women we impregnate. That's a philosophy, and I don't know where it stems from. I don't know if it's coming from the music that we watch or the television that we're watching, or the music we listen to or the television that we're watching, but we're getting all kinds of messed up information and we're internalizing it and we're spilling it out, and we're breeding very angry children. Right? We're watching children that are coming to school and they bring to the table a lot of different issues. Some of them don't have proper clothing for this kind of weather. They don't have food, or they see mom bringing in this man who's not dad and seems to be paying him more attention than they're paying me. So I'm going to school and now I'm acting out. I mean, it's like a loaded question.
We're doing things as a society to help breed angry children as well. I mean, and angry and despaired and just really depressed, I would think. If you're a child and you live in a neighborhood and you see that they are closing the rec centers, the schools and the libraries and the playgrounds, but they're opening jails and prisons in your neighborhood.
The arts in the school.
Taking the arts out of the school and opening jails and prisons. What are we telling that child? We're saying we see no future for you as it relates to education, but we do see a future for you as it relates to prison or jail. You've got an area in the city of Detroit that had not 1 but 2 prisons in it, Mound and Ryan Correctional Facilities, back to back. Mound was closed for a while. It's now been reopened and it's being used as a jail. But they're closing all the schools around that area. They're closing, Osborne and Pershing. I don't think those are closed yet.
But that's what I tell kids. I say, look, don't be a fool. We're closing schools and building jails. What is that telling you?
Right.
Who are we building these jails for?
That's assuming that they're lucky enough to go to jail and not do something in their interaction with law enforcement that causes them to be, mortally injured or fatally injured. But, I always tell my nephew, who's now in his 20s, that although you have a right to resist an unlawful arrest as an African-American male, I wouldn't suggest that you do that as a black or brown person in this country. And although, the laws are meant to protect you, there are certain laws that are only going to be able to be discussed after you're dead if you do something out there that causes someone to perceive you as being a threat.
What I tell young people is if you feel like you've been grieved in some way, continue to do what is asked of you and take it up later.
Right.
Report it to supervisor, teacher, parent, whomever.
Right.
Don't engage that officer for whatever reason.
The officer is always right in that circumstance, no matter if he's wrong. Let us deal with it.
For the time being.
For the time being. Right. Your sons are 14 and 18?
14 and 18.
They grow up in the city?
Yes.
Are they still here and locally?
My son is in his first year at Michigan State.
Oh, good for you.
And my son is in first year. My youngest son, first year of high school.
Is it a DPS?
Yes, it is.
Okay, DPS school. What they've done to the schools in this city is a whole different discussion that we could probably have.
My school was closed, Southwestern High School.
My sister taught at Southwestern High School. I know, and Chadsey and Central and a whole lot of other schools that are now closed.
We're going to have to talk about that.
We really will.
Yeah.
We really will. But we've got to do a better job of letting people know that Black lives do matter. And we're not going to continue to allow the types of incidences that have been happening occur without us doing something proactive to prevent them from happening. I'm tired of discussing them the Monday after. I'm tired of looking at these videotapes and sitting around in my office looking at people talking about isn't that terrible, and trying to analyze to see whether the person was really resisting. And we've got to do something. We can prevent this. We've got Oscar Grant and Eric Varner, and the list goes on and on. Amadou Diallo and Michael Brown. And
we have control even beyond those people that you just named. All we have to do is get out and vote. We have to pay attention to what people are doing, the legislation that they're enacting, the rulings that we make. We have to educate ourselves and then do something about it. We can't sit at home and say, oh, they're going to do what they want to do anyway. I also teach at Henry Ford Community College. I teach a political science class there. As the last assignment, which was an extra credit assignment, which was right before the election, I had them list 10 people that they encouraged to vote, where they voted at, and that type of thing. And these were college-educated folk who said that I didn't vote myself. And I questioned to them, why? Why didn't you? Well, because people don't do what they want to do anyway. It doesn't matter. And I said, do you understand that these so-called people that you're speaking of, that's exactly what they want you to think, and you did exactly what they want you to do, which is stay home.
Right. I'm sure there's a whole psychology behind how you create the apathy that we see with respect to voting. And it didn't just wake up overnight. People didn't just wake up overnight and decide I'm not going to vote. Right. It's generational. It's cyclical. There are people much smarter than me who have sat down and figured out how to get people uninterested in their own self-interest. And, you do a lot of things. You let them go vote, and then you just ignore the vote, like you did with respect to the Michigan's emergency manager law here in Michigan, where 2.3 people went and voted and said they didn't want the EM law.
They're going to do what they want to do anyway.
Exactly.
My vote doesn't matter. It doesn't count.
And if you keep showing people that their vote is going to be ignored, I guess on some levels you can understand why people would feel that way. Mm-hmm. And so we've got to tell people that we come from much graver circumstances that we're in now. Tell people to go out there and look at movies like Selma and see what people sacrifice so that you could have the right to vote. And I think that it should be mandatory viewing. It really should. And I think that people would not be as apathetic and nonchalant about their voting rights as they are now. Because I always say people died, but people didn't die so that you could have it. People were killed. They voluntarily put themselves into circumstances knowing that they could be killed so that you might have the right to vote. Well, Detroit, thank you so very much. I want to thank Pastor Lane, Reggie Lane, for letting me host Innerview. If I had to tell you to do anything today, it's to do something. Don't sit around asking us what we're going to do, because there is a you and us. So until next time when Reggie Lane is back, we want to thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next time.
the IRS.
Citizens, it's your bugaboo. Clyde Darnell Lynch, all rights reserved without prejudice. I am Prince Clyde Darnell Lynch. Equality and fairness by contract is paramount, mandatory by law. Amen. Today's date and time, 11:51 a.m., March 11, 2015. I'm about to call the Chief Investigator Office. I just received a phone call yesterday stating that they want to have a meeting, a audio recording meeting. But I'm going to get to what I'm going to say. I only put less than 5 minutes of this show on my Facebook page. I'm going to take that and put it on my YouTube page with this audio recording. Now, what I wrote in my Facebook page comments, I can't recall it, but I was civil in what I wrote. But you all know I got something to say, and I'm going to say it now since I'm in audio mode. I'm not going to say a lot. All I'm going to say, Crystal Crittendon. All I'm going to say, she used to work in the law department in the private sector as well. I'm not going to try to discredit nobody. I'm going to just state the facts that I have experienced with the law department. I know she used to work in the law department and some other governmental agencies, et cetera, attorneys and all that. I'm going to say, I wonder, do she know who I am other than me emailing her while she was in the law department?
Hi, neighbor.
Has my name been talked about through the city government, through the Michigan Bar Association? Trust me, I don't talk to the head administration. I don't talk to the law department. They laughed at me in my face when I went down there years prior about this issue that's going to come to fruition. I don't know the meaning of that word. I'm just using it in the context I hear it in. So it's some things I'm going to say that Chief Judge of the 36th District Court, Kenneth King. I hope you're not related to these people I know, but most likely you are. Because something written down recently is some people was exposed. Not unconstitutionally, but exposed. So let's say this. Mr. Kenneth King, have you received the email, the faxes, and or the hand-delivered letter complaint that I came up on the 5th floor, brother, on the 5th floor? Went into that office where that security guard standing in the doorway, asking questions like he's a governmental staff member, but he's worked for a security firm, corporation, company, as a subsidiary to the 36th District Court security team. Or he may be specifically a 36th District security guard, not a bailiff. Or maybe he might be a bailiff, I don't know. But every time I went up there, they give you the 3rd degree, want to ask you questions, what you here for? I'm here to speak to Mr. King. I want to know, have you received my faxes that I sent up here? Did I send it to the right floor? Did I send it to the right thing? Can you give me the contact information? Can you give me the email? Can you give me the fax number? Can you give me the phone number? So I get past the security guard that's breaching and hindering, aiding and abetting to the corruption that went on in the 36th District courtroom facility. So I enter past him. And sometimes I don't even get past him because I've been up there more than 3 times on the 5th floor to see brother man and the security guard right there and his staff. I know when I did the faxes, the staff reading my paperwork, and I wrote some very potent stuff and criminal stuff that some people say, oh, I don't believe, oh, that's silly, he need to find Jesus. I'm not going to get into the religion, but everybody should know my comments and thinking on that. So I want to know, has Chief, all that stuff they talked about on this show is contradicting their actions. And if someone has blocked my legal constitution, the complaints to your office, or didn't give you the handwritten, the note that I hand delivered on the 5th floor, if you don't know who I am, Clyde Darnell Lynch, we got a problem. Because your staff has hindered due process, equality, fairness for me to receive an investigation, a remedy, recourse, redress, financial what's the word I'm looking for a financial settlement and or an investigation. My paperwork was altered at the 36th District Court records room. The record room said they don't have the paperwork on record. If it's not in here, it don't exist. I go down there a week. Don't have no funds to copy all the papers in my file. So I'm just looking at them. I should have been taking a picture with my camera phone, but I'm not thinking. I'm under duress. I'm distressed. And my liberties, freedoms, and happiness is being suppressed. So I go back up there a week later with a little bit of dollars to copy 1 or 2 papers. But when I was up there, I did copy a couple of papers, but I didn't have enough money to copy all of them. So when I went back up there with a little bit more money to copy the rest of the papers that I didn't copy, things would change. So I just said, you know what? Can I get the sign-in sheet of everyone that came in and pulled this record file of mine, this case number file? They told me that don't exist. And I'm like, what? I signed my name and put the case number in the book every time I came in here. I had to sign in. Oh, that don't exist. We don't have none. So therefore, right there, and the people that received the audio recordings of that, the heavy hitters, I'm banking on these individuals to get together and say everything what Mr. Miz said is true, even though he's guilty of a crime that the citizens, governmental agencies have put upon me without an investigation. Because they would have did an investigation, you would have found out that the individual is the origin of the guilt that they put on me and that I have committed with my own actions and behavior. But before you point the finger, before any adverse effect happened, something should have been done with individuals' families, government officials that knew about the situation. And when I asked for assistance before I even knew of the outcome that was going to happen to me in the future, no one assisted me in government. No one assisted me at DMC Hospital when I asked for the videotape. And the security guard telling me all this negativity. Then I contact administration to try to get the videotape, and I didn't get the videotape. But I'm going to put another paperwork on here about the videotape when I was escorted out of the DMC headquarters, Detroit Receiver Hospital. But the videotape I'm talking about when I came to emergency room and I had a female accompany me to the emergency room. I wanted the videotape so I could go take it to the police. The security didn't assist me. They told me go talk to Detroit police. Detroit police told me go talk to security at Sinai Hospital. And nothing came about. Because both of them was telling me to go see each other, so I'm ass out. So therefore, I did not get assistance because everybody want to give me legal advice and tell me what I need to do. And when I go there to say I need some assistance getting the videotape, what you need a videotape for? I came up here constitutionally saying what I need to do to get the videotape. Back then, I didn't know about the FOIA. I knew about it, but I didn't know how to do it and how simple it was. So like I said, that's why we need to get the polygraph test municipal in the court of law. Because every time we go being questioned by the police, they'll say, would you like to would you like to consent to a polygraph test, Mr. Lynch or Mr. Johnson or Mr. Skoskowski? Oh, hold up, officer, in the interrogation room, I thought the polygraph test don't hold up in court of law. So why you ask me that, Mr. Honorable Law Enforcing Entity? Then when you go in court and you in the court because they got enough evidence to take you to court, which may be fraudulent or legitimate. The judge and the prosecuting attorney would say, Mr. Lynch, Mr. Skolsky, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Jones, would you consent to a polygraph test to see if we just try to get bearings on the case to see if you're telling the truth or a lie? And that's a judge and the prosecuting attorney in their courtroom, and your attorney letting no words be spoken, and it allegedly do not hold up in the court of law. It's not municipal. It's just for entertainment. Well, I'm looking at the Maury Povich show. People getting busted for cheating. It seems to me to be 100% accurate. So let me get back on. I done got off point. So I wrote some things down. So I'm just going to let it go because it's a unwritten script and unfilmed activities, behaviors not being filmed or put on record. What they were saying, you need to watch Selma and everybody need to watch that. We live in color, an unrecorded saga of injustice. I didn't say it right, but I'm about to end this because it's too long. Everybody, listen to the police situation I was in, standing in front of the bus stop, March 7, 2015. I'm gonna put all these 3 audio recordings together, but I don't understand why I cannot record the whole taping of the show that I had, the 21 minutes, in video mode so you can see the pictures. I have to do in the audio mode, and then when I flip the audio mode into video mode, it records all of it. I don't know what's going on. I can't record my city council meeting on January 20th, 2015, so I'm going to do audio mode, but I don't want the audio mode. I want the visual mode, video mode, so you can see the reaction and body language in the court, in the city council meeting of me, of the city council. And it's just something that is unbelievable. I held up the little municipal book, and people on Facebook know when I found the website on the internet of that municipal handbook of all the duties and obligations of all cities official, city governmental agencies official in the city of Detroit, it disappeared. And they put this little handwritten case with BS on. And I found something else. Y'all see that on Facebook. For the ones who follow me, looking at everything, you are the ones who will not have to play catch up when the shit go down. You already say, well, boom, Mr. Lynch, he proved everything he said, even if he's wrong. 99.9, I'm going to say 97.9% of everything he said has merit, has truth to it, if you believe it or not. Because everything is open to debate, but make sure you know what you're debating. Make sure you're not the lobbyist for unconstitutional actions, behavior, ignorance, stupidity. Make sure you're not a lobbyist to breach a fellow citizen's right that's fighting against the government, private public businesses, and or et cetera. And that does apply. Because you have constitutional restrictions and limitations. You better understand your constitutional freedom of speech is freedom of speech. But freedom of speech comes with constitutional restrictions and limitations. That's the true obligation of your liberties, rights, freedoms, pursuit of happiness, and or et cetera. Now, I said all I could at this on-the-fly moment. Now I'm about to call the 36th district judge, the Detroit Police Chief Investigator Office, make an appointment for Friday, and I wish I could get 3 people to come with me to be a witness, but it's going to be audio recording. So they're going to have their audio recording, and let me do my thing. I'm out. So, Chief Judge Kenneth King, can you actually say you don't remember me? Can you actually say that your staff did not forward the emails, the hand-delivered complaints, the message, the contact me, this is my email address? But, Mr. King, I have recordings of all that. But guess what, Mr. King? You up there talking about this and that. Are you afraid to get a constitutional reconstruction within the city of Detroit? Because you are the head 36th district judge. You have power, worth, and value that you can assist the citizens in. But we don't want to lose our job and lose our pension. I want to know why the city retirees took a 5% or 10% cut, and how the police department and the EMTs, the ambulance drivers, only received a 1% cut. Now, I know they had a cut back before, but when Mike Dougie became mayor of Detroit, Michigan, United States of America, Kevin Orr gave everybody their money back, and they got reimbursed funds of what they didn't receive because they took a cut to help the city finances out. They got all that money back, retro pay. And now they're saying they want to raise. Now they're saying want to raise the city clerk and Brenda Jones, city council president, saying they want to raise city clerk. City clerk, have you put together a meeting about my rights being violated as a candidate, governor candidate? Have you looked into my complaint when I say I want to speak with the voting commission board, with this corporation council? Mr. Holloway, I believe, yourself, and city council president Brenda Jones. What's his name? Corporation council, Holloway, whatever. I have a certified letter stamped at the law department for a right of petition. So they ask for a raise. I can't get due process. I can't get compensation. $900 billion is what I request. And if they don't have that money, you better contact the federal government, because I don't want to hear that, because they're going to say the city's broke, we don't have no money, like that guy that got beat up by the police that carjacked the grandmother with her 2 grandkids. I believe that attorney set him up to fail. I'll have been up in that courtroom saying, you better contact the federal government, get my money. You see how the attorneys set us up? We know attorneys set innocent people up to go do 5 years in jail. They innocent. 20 years later, oh, you was innocent. This person did 20 years of hard labor, not to pay a debt to society. He went in there and received cruel and unusual punishment under the watchful eye of prison security guards. They're supposed to have law and order. It's worse in prison than out here in the streets. So whatever crime they did, if it wasn't murder or sexual assault, you can't get. I'm gonna be quiet. So I'm out. I'm done.
So today's dating time is 4:09 p.m. March 11, 2015. Mr. Crittendon and Chief Judge Kenneth King. Now, I thought the Chief Judge was a dark-skinned dude, because when I first watched it, I was saying Kenneth King. Was it somebody else there named King? I thought the head judge was the dark-skinned dude. Cause I remember when the emergency manager came in they had an emergency manager judge for the 36th District Court, and I was trying to call him to tell him the issue about the record rooms and everything else about my collection company court case. I couldn't even get through to him. I told everybody, remember the management audio recording, and they say I can't do nothing. Now, I don't know, Mr. King, Kenneth King is the judge that was the head judge back then, cause I'm thinking he was a dark-skinned dude. So I'm going to correct that right there. But everything what I said towards him, it still stands. So what can you do? We talk the talk about the talk, but we're not going to do the walk and dance. It's so easy to do something unconstitutional and sinful, but it's hard as I don't know what to get some constitutional holy actions, behaviors, protocol, procedures, and or et cetera done. You have to fight the court system. You can have all the evidence in the world and go to the courtroom, and the judge gonna stand there and sit there and say, you don't have enough evidence, case dismissed. You got all the evidence in the world. They just don't want to lose their pension, and then when it's come time to put them back in position, to vote them back in that judge position, they won't get back put up in there because you hurt the powers that be agenda of corruptness. And then whoever the head judge to get put in, they might tell you, you got to go. I can't trust you because you ain't going to play ball. And then when they say, I don't know what need to be done, talking about the breakdown of the family, because the conduct of these people in private public business and in the government is extreme prejudice. So what you need to do, like I told someone, to go to this facility, get the paperwork, and see what's going on, and you can use that to assist you to get fairness and equality for the city of Detroit. That's what I told somebody. I don't know if they're going to do it. And another thing I said, what we need to do is 12 mandated years in the DPS, in the school system, even if it's private. It's 7 years to be a basic judge. It's 2.5 years to be a paralegal. So you need to input this stuff in the school system so we can just not only be herded and chattel for a private public business to make profits as an employee, we also know how to protect our rights, and we won't need no union. Okay, everybody know how I feel about a union, and I will prove my point, and I have proved it. It's a waste of money. If you learn the Constitution, you learn your timetables from times table 5 to 12 before you graduate from elementary school, you golden. You learn the Constitution in elementary school. You learn the Constitution before you get to middle school. You know how to break it down in every which way and form. You golden. The 12 years of mandated schoolings. You learn what attorneys learn, paralegals, police officers, private investigators. Private investigator 2.5 years. A police officer is no more than a year in book training. 6 months, 8 months. We put that what a city or local police officer learn, what a private investigator learn. What a private investigator learn is more than what a police officer learns. So put what a private investigator learns in the school system, that's 2.5 years. They know that by the time they get to middle school, they golden. By the time they graduate from high school, they know what a paralegal knows. They know how to do the court cases. They know how to file paperwork instead of depending on the judge, on the attorney. Instead of depending on the attorney, that's only there to make a profit and set you up. They assist private public businesses and the government to breach the citizens' rights. So if we learn what a paralegal learns, we learn what a private investigator learns, we can help ourselves. We can live in peace and harmony if that's implemented in the school system on the whole planet. The powers that be will be in power no more. And that's all I want to say. I'm out.